Welcome everyone to today's webcast on the KTER Center's Employment Research Database, which will be presented by Stephen Boydston. I'm Ann Outlaw, a TA consultant from the American Institute for Research, or AIR. This webcast is part of a four-part series of webcasts on the KTER Center's research activities and resources. The webcast is offered through the Center on Knowledge Translation for Employment Research, or KTER, which is funded by the National Institute on Disabilities, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research. We have information that accompanies today's webcast on our website, and this includes a PowerPoint file and a text description of the training materials. So you can go to kter.org to find that information. Before we dive into the Employment Research Database, I'd like to give a brief overview of the KTER Center's purpose and activities. On the slide, you can see our purpose. We are here to test knowledge translation strategies to help researchers and other people with disabilities find, use, and understand research to ultimately help people with disabilities find and keep their jobs. So how do we do this? Well, we conduct a variety of research and dissemination activities. First, to identify findings related to improving employment outcomes among individuals with disabilities. We also help to determine what needs for research-based information are most pressing for stakeholders, such as individuals with disabilities and their families, vocational rehabilitation practitioners, the business community, and policymakers. You can find technical briefs on focus groups that we recently conducted with people with autism and transition-age youth with disabilities on our website at kter.org. And we're also here to investigate and test knowledge translation strategies that increase the stakeholders' appropriate use of identified research findings that meet their reported needs. We aim to widely share our project findings to provide technical assistance to NIDLR researchers to support application of their work while also promoting collaboration amongst NIDLR-funded researchers working in the employment field and between these researchers and their stakeholder audiences that can benefit from their research findings. You can hear more about our research activities in the other webcasts in this series or by visiting our website. Now it is my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Stephen Boydston. Stephen is a research associate with the American Institute for Research and has worked on the KTER Center for 5 years. So Stephen, what can you tell us about the Employment Research Database?
Hi, Ann. Thank you very much. So the Employment Research Database is an ongoing project where we identify peer-reviewed research articles that look specifically at employment strategies for people with disabilities.
So can you tell me a little bit about how this project got started?
Yeah, so this is actually a continuation of some of the work that we were doing during a previous award cycle with our partners at Virginia Commonwealth University. We have since relaunched the database on our new website and hope that it is valuable for folks to discover new work, learn about what works, and where there might be challenges to supporting people with disabilities in the workplace.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and take a look at the database now, if that's all right.
Yes, that'd be great. So here you should be able to see the KTER Center homepage. We'll start by navigating to the database by going to Resources and clicking on Employment Research Database. Starting out in the center of the screen, you can see we're currently displaying 1 out of 25 out of 250 total records. Each record is displayed in a row with the author's title and year published. Users can also filter some of these results to more accurately find what they're looking for in a couple of different ways. First, you can do a text search using specific phrase or words you'd like to include or exclude. For example, we can search for disability rehabilitation, and this would narrow our search to a total of 101 records that contain all of those words. We can then clear those search terms using the clear button, and that will bring us back to the home page for the database. The second way to search is using the search filters on the side. So for example, if we'd like to search for a specific year an article was published, for example in 2014, and additionally we would like to only find NIDLR funded research, we would click yes, and that limits our search to about 5 records.
So say, for example, someone is looking for an article, maybe something that they helped write. How can they find it?
That'd be great. So if, for example, they wrote an article and it's not included in our database yet, the best way to do that would be to click on the About the Database button, which is in the top right. And About the Employment Research Database page features lots of additional information about the database and how it functions, some of the additional details there, as well as at the bottom an option to submit a resource. So from there is an online submission form where they can submit the name of their article, the date it was published, some additional information, and we'll go ahead and review that and add that to the database as soon as possible.
Thank you, Stephen. It looks like you're changing some of the inclusion criteria this year. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, that's right. So currently in the database, we have included research articles related to the employment of people with disabilities. Moving forward, we will be focusing on adding articles and studies that report specifically on interventions, so strategies that demonstrate effective employment for people with disabilities is going to have a higher priority.
Well, again, thank you very much, Stephen, for this brief introduction to the Employment Research Database. I'd like to remind and encourage everyone to fill out an evaluation form following the link at the bottom of the slide. We'll also email it to everyone who's registered for this webcast series. Today's webcast is part of a series about the KTER Center activities, so don't forget to view the other webcasts. And you can find this all on our website at kter.org. I'd also like to thank the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living and Rehabilitation Research, or NIDLR, for providing funding for this webcast. And on this final note, I'd like to conclude the webcast. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, Anne. My pleasure.